What a great game! Performance is great, visuals are gorgeous, and HDR with the right settings is awesome. Okay my friends, so for this video I have tested the Xbox Series X version, and between PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X there shouldn't be any difference in terms of HDR, but the keyword is shouldn't. On the Xbox Series X we have the HDR calibration menu in Lego Star Wars, and we have the white level setting, which means is the paper white or average picture brightness from the game, and we have also the maximum brightness, which means the maximum peak brightness of your TV. And because we have those settings, the HDR game calibration menu on the Xbox Series X is not supported. Okay, so let's jump straight into my analysis for Lego Star Wars, and I found a little bit of I found actually a very weird behavior in terms of HDR. So what you can see here right now, I was of course curious what is the maximum peak luminance, the maximum output in terms of HDR, what this game can display, not what my TV actually can show. And I cranked up white level to 1000, maximum brightness to 5000, and the game right now on this test screen is asking to output 5000 nits, which is okay because maximum brightness is set to 5000. And when we look at some real world gameplay like this here, the game right now is asking to output 4000 nits, and on this screen actually also 4000 nits. So even with the setting to 5000, I was not able to find any location or scenery where I was able to measure 5000 nits as well. But this is not a big problem because no consumer TV can actually display 4000 nits at this moment. So let's focus on this. White level is set to 200 instead of 1000 because 1000 is just way too bright, of course, and maximum brightness is still set to 5000. And as you can see right now, the game is still asking to output 5000 nits on this test screen, okay? And this is of course correct because the maximum brightness is still set to 5000, so I'm expecting the maximum peak brightness 5000, okay? But let's have a look on the same world or real world gameplay, whatever scenario, and now the game is just asking to output 800 nits. And keep in mind, my maximum brightness is set to 5000 at this very moment. The only thing what I changed is actually the white level from 1000 to 200. And now we have a problem. It is not really a problem if you follow a very simple rule. Do not use the white level setting below 200 if your TV is capable of a maximum peak brightness of 800 nits like my LG CX. And of course I will explain to you why. So those settings are, by the way, perfect for HDR10 and my LG CX, okay? White level 200, maximum brightness 800. So let's take a very quick look on this screenshot here, or analyze screen. And the game right now is asking to output 800 nits, which is just perfect for my LG CX. And HDR is really awesome in this game, okay? So what is now happening if we now, let's say, decrease the white level from 200 to 190 and we analyzing the exact same screen? The game now is asking to output 760 nits, and this is the problem. As soon you go below 200, you will lose maximum peak brightness. And you can just imagine if you now use, let's say, a paper white setting around 150, you just end up with around 600 candela in maximum peak brightness, and this makes HDR not look great. Okay, so let's talk about another example for TVs with a much higher maximum peak brightness, like maybe the Samsung Q90A or B. And in this case, we're talking about maximum brightness around 1500 nits. And keep in mind, I can't verify those settings because my TV is not capable of showing this maximum of peak brightness or the white level actually. It just looks very awful on the OLED LG CX here in this case. But this is just to prove a point. And if you have a Samsung Q90, then please try those settings and put in the comment section what you think about this, okay? But let me explain something first, okay? So what you can see at the moment is white level set to 360 and maximum brightness 1500. And right now the game is asking to output 1500 nits on this test screen. So let's have a little bit of real gameplay here. And with the same settings, the game is asking to output 1500 nits on this very bright objects. And again, with those settings on the HGiG, it does look awful, okay? So what is happening now if we reduce now the level or the white level to 350, and we have exactly the same behavior as with my settings for my HGiG. As soon as we're reducing this below 360, we lose also the maximum peak brightness, and this is going on. So if you just use white level 300, then you end up with 1100 nits, and this will be most likely also destroy your HDR picture on your Samsung TV. But the problem is, I personally found, or I think that a white level setting of 350 is probably way too much. But again, I can't verify this because I don't have a TV with those capabilities, okay? So put in a comment section, please, if you think that those levels or those settings for your Samsung Q90A or whatever TV has a maximum peak brightness around 1500, just give it a try, put in a comment section what you think, and yeah, we take it from there. Okay, so that brings me to my recommended settings for my OLED HGiG 65-inch TV with a maximum peak brightness around 800 nits. Actually, that's way too much. The maximum peak brightness is around 750 nits, but we found with all the testing that 800 nits is actually fitting the TV perfectly. So all my settings and all my recommendations are based on my TV, okay? So please keep this in mind. If you like to try those settings, feel free to do it. You can't harm your TV or anything else, but do not expect the same outcome as I do here, okay? Anyway, let's talk about my recommended settings. And we have peak brightness 800 and white level 200, and we talked about this. We have a problem with the white level setting in this game, so do not go below 200 if you like to use a maximum peak brightness of 800, okay? As almost in every game, I do not recommend to use dynamic tone mapping off, because it will just, yeah, you will have a how should I say, not the same HDR experience as with dynamic tone mapping on or HGiG, because you will lose a lot of maximum peak brightness in terms of real brightness actually on the screen, and HDR specular highlights are not looking as great as with dynamic tone mapping on and HGiG. Dolby Vision is doing a great job, but just keep in mind we need to change the settings for Dolby Vision a little bit, and unfortunately, I'm not able to do the same analysis with Dolby Vision as with HDR10, because I can't record Dolby Vision at this very moment, and that's what I'm coming up with. So this is measured with my colorimeter and with my calculations that we most likely need those settings to have exactly the same outcome, or even a little bit of a better outcome as with HDR10, okay? So Dolby Vision maximum peak brightness set to 1000, and the white level instead of 200 for HDR10, for Dolby Vision it is 220. And here we have my recommended settings for 1500 nits TVs, okay? Like the Samsung Q90 or similar TVs with a very high peak brightness, or much higher peak brightness than my OLED HGiG. And by the way, I still don't know which TV or what TV I should get. I'm aiming for a new TV actually with a much higher peak brightness compared to my OLED HGiG, but I don't want to sacrifice anything in terms of picture quality, okay? So I'm not quite sure what TV I'm getting now. Anyway, but also, no worries, I keep this TV and I will provide you also settings for the HGiG in the future, okay? No worries at all, okay? I need to make this very, very clear. Anyway, so for 1500 nits TVs, you set the peak brightness to 1500 obviously, and the white level minimum is 360. And again, I personally think that this is very, very bright and maybe way too much, but the problem is, as soon you reduce this level, you reduce also the peak brightness on your TV. So to have maximum 1500 nits on your TV, you need to use 360, okay? I showed you this already. If you use 350, you're already ending up with 1300 nits instead of 1500, okay? The same counts here, dynamic tone mapping off. It is not recommended in my opinion, but again, I can't verify this, of course, on a TV with 1500 nits. Maybe it is better, but I still think it is not, okay? So dynamic tone mapping off in most of the cases is not the best choice. HGiG, the same settings. If your TV with 1500 nits supports HGiG, of course, the same setting as with dynamic tone mapping on. And Dolby Vision, again, just a calculated value. What I think you will need to reach exactly the same maximum peak output as with HDR10, because the difference between Dolby Vision and HDR10, at least on my OLED LGCX, is a little bit of a different, how should I say, behavior. If I would use the same setting for Dolby Vision as with HDR10, I would end up with a lower maximum peak brightness compared to HDR10, a measurable lower HDR peak brightness, okay, what I am able to measure with my colorimeter, okay. So that's why we have to increase those values. And again, do me a favor, try this on your brand new Samsung Q90B or whatever, and put in the comment section how you like those settings. And I apologize in advance because I haven't done a proper comparison between dynamic tone mapping on, off, HGiG and Dolby Vision, and I have to admit I haven't tested this game in SDR at all, because in my opinion there's no point actually to play this game on a screen like this, on an OLED TV like this in SDR, because HDR with the right setting, it is just awesome. Okay, let's talk about HGiG or dynamic tone mapping on, and this is, as always, absolutely up to you. In my opinion, HGiG is working very well with this game because it is more than bright enough. But if you like to have a little bit of a higher average picture brightness, then you should actually use dynamic tone mapping on, because it will gives you a little bit of a higher picture brightness. I hope my camera can catch this at the moment, because there are a lot of very bright objects actually on the screen, and this is then a problem with dynamic tone mapping on, because it will not brighten up the screen. Here I think it's more visible. As soon there is no bright object on the screen, dynamic tone mapping offers you a much higher average picture brightness, okay? But on the other hand, HGiG is much more accurate when it comes to specular highlights like this nice or very bright sun, because it looks like just awesome on my screen. With dynamic tone mapping on, I can actually see that there's a little bit of a problem in terms of, yeah, the edges from the sun are not as visible as with HGiG, so it does look much better with HGiG at this very moment. But again, this is absolutely up to you. If you like to have a little bit of a higher average picture brightness, go with dynamic tone mapping on. If you like to have the most accurate HDR picture, go with HGiG. And then of course we have Dolby Vision, and this is my preferred mode to play this game with, because it just looks amazing with my recommended settings. And I apologize again that I haven't done a proper comparison between HDR10 and Dolby Vision, but it looks to me, or it appears to me, that Dolby Vision actually is a little bit brighter. Of course we have different settings. It appears to be a little bit brighter than HDR10 HGiG, and the HDR effects are absolutely perfect in my opinion. There is literally, I don't know, I haven't seen so many games actually with a great HDR implementation like Lego Star Wars, despite the problem what we're facing with the white level. But I have to say that all those effects or the specular highlights are absolutely great and visible, all the nice fine details. And my camera can't catch this because of the ISO level, but I can see easily all the fine details here with my recommended settings for Dolby Vision, and this is just awesome. I really like HDR in this game. This is just a great experience, to be very honest, and this is how many other games actually should be mastered as well, with such a great HDR experience. Anyway, my recommendation in this game, if you can, play this game in Dolby Vision with my recommended settings. White level set to 220 and the maximum brightness is 1000, and then just enjoy the game. Okay my friends, so that's it for this video. I say thank you very much for watching me, and now I need to have a tea because my voice is getting very bad, but this is what I'm doing for you here. So please do me a favor, and if you're new to my channel, please like, share, subscribe. I mean subscribe if you're new to my channel, like and share if you're not new to my channel. You get my point, okay? Again, thank you very much for watching the whole video, because this will support me a lot, okay? If you watch my video for the whole length, this is very great, because then yeah, I'm getting more ad revenue from Google. Thank you very much for this, okay? So this is how you can support me, okay? Anyway, this game on the Xbox Series is a great game, and in terms of HDR, I'm quite sure PlayStation 5 shouldn't be any different, okay? Or different, there shouldn't be any difference at all, okay? So that's why my recommended settings are actually for PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series. I'm not quite sure about the PC version, of course. And is there actually a PC version? There should be a PC version. I have no idea actually, because I'm so focused on consoles lately. I have no idea what's going on the PC. But anyway, different story, okay? Again, thank you very, very much for watching the whole video, and yeah, I see you guys next time. Bye.